All right. Cosmic Duality says or asks, in what industry do you think NFTs will create the most impact on besides gaming?
Art
Yes, I was going to say art as well.
seems like an obvious one.
Maybe let's look outside of art and gaming because they're the
Okay.
existing ones that have.
They did not mention art, so it seems worth
Okay.
talking
Let's
about it for
go
more
into
than
art a
1
bit more.
second, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it solves the provenance problem like totally, right? Which is huge and very relevant in art. And it also gives a way for digital art to actually be valued as if it's real art rather than just a commodity to be used by a corporation for some sort of bigger media, whatever. You know what I mean? Like if you were
Yeah.
a digital artist before, the ways to make money from your art was just to make whatever digital art you were told by Disney for their next movie or a video game company or whatever. So I would say those two right off the bat are great ones. Obviously, there's the whole generative art thing,
Yeah.
which naturally seems to go so well with NFTs as well.
Yeah. I think it really is just allowing an entire new art form to boom in terms of digital art. It was just really not feasible for individual digital artists to sell their creations to individual buyers or collectors easily.
And it's amazing how like it still feels to me that people that haven't bought into the concept, digital art is literally a valueless thing to them. No matter how much they like the image, there's no way that you can assign value to it because you can right click save it or whatever. Whereas some other traditional art that they like equally as much aesthetically and artistically is something that they can clearly put value on. And so it's just kind of a mental hurdle to acknowledge that this is a sort of valid way of conferring ownership to something. And then once you do it, all of a sudden the sky's sort of the limit because this stuff that we've sort of been artificially not valuing for all this time, all of a sudden you go, oh, it's like, it's the same as this other stuff. Only maybe more relevant and modern because, art tends to move forward. And certainly digital art is a newer thing than painting and sculpture or whatever.
Yeah. It's basically an art revolution. It's like we're moving into the digital age.
Let's talk about something besides art. I mean, come on, art and gaming is such an obvious. Here's one other thing I'll say is that a lot of people have talked about music as a potential thing, and there's definitely been some stuff in the space, but it doesn't seem like by and large it's had even close to as much of an impact on musicians as it has visual artists. So it'll be interesting to see if that, if music can kind of catch up and innovate in a way with it. I don't really know if they'll be able to do it. Probably to some degree. Human ingenuity is quite powerful, but I guess that's just also a subset of art. Depends on how you define art,
but it is interesting though that it hasn't yet taken off that much. I think some of it might have to do with the fact that like digital music was already being sold in like a huge way.
Right.
You could go to iTunes and pay money to download a song. You could subscribe to a streaming service. There wasn't really, as far as I'm aware, like too many avenues for that for like digital art, animated art. Like you could buy prints of a physical print of something that someone created. You could hire someone to create an animation, but in terms of just collecting the art, that didn't really exist. So it's just it really went almost from 0 to 1, whereas music is like shifting from one to another.
Yeah, but it's sort of interesting that like you can sort of right click download the MP3 file just as easily as you can right click save the the JPEG or the PNG. So why was it so easy for us to value and commodify music digitally, whereas we weren't able to do it with art? That's sort of an interesting thing. I guess it probably has something to do with the way that corporations were able to sort of bundle the music and all of that, because it's not like the internet was a way for individual musicians to make money going straight to the consumer. It's all been going through iTunes for a while, and then more recently through Spotify and stuff like that. And obviously the thing with NFTs is sort of that they allow theoretically a disintermediation, so you can just have the customer here and this has like insurance information. I need to stop whipping it further. The customer here and the artist here, and you don't need a giant Web2 corporation in between just taking 15% for no real reason. They're still mostly under the yoke of the recording companies, who I believe are also taking a bunch of money that they don't really deserve at this point. So that's actually another reason why theoretically NFTs might be able to help out in making the relationship between customer and artist more direct and fair and equitable.
Yeah, and there's some cool projects in the works. People are definitely trying to like sink their teeth into how to NFT-fy music.
I've seen some people that like just are selling their music videos as an NFT, just as a way for people to, in the way that you would just kind of spend money on a collector's item or whatever to show your fanship and to support an artist who you really like. They're just sort of doing that with NFTs now, which is good and interesting, but it seems like it's just like a sort of a Band-Aid solution to really transforming it, because it's so optional, and it kind of puts so much of the responsibility of supporting the artist on like a couple of the really rich fans, rather than a way for it to be like somehow we're all paying 10 cents in crypto every we stream or something.
We really need like the Web3 version of Spotify and Netflix, just where it's for the end consumer, it's just as good of an experience, but instead of one individual entity like Netflix or Spotify taking the lion's share of the revenue, with the recording studios taking the chunk and like the artist getting a tiny percentage, it's just the split is better, and so we just need that.
The idea behind Spotify sort of is they were trying to do that and just have themselves basically be between the artist and the end consumer, and just make it much more efficient basically, and squeeze out the recording studios. And it's been going very slowly. They haven't really been able to reduce the cut that the recording studios have had, but it'll be interesting to see if within crypto and NFTs people can just leapfrog both of them. But like once you're already under the contract of the recording studio, it's not really a possibility as far as I understand. And so you have to kind of have people that are forward-thinking artists that take a leap of faith and stuff like that. And just to keep going on this, with Spotify, there are ways with them where you can just kind of publish your music without having the recording studios initially, but it's just you have to be sort of a hustler in terms of your ability to market yourself. But once you get included in like one of their big playlists, like the custom Spotify playlists and stuff like that, it really can transcend the career trajectory of a musician.
All right, we touched on art and music. Technically, the question was which industry do you think NFT will create the most impact on?
Yeah. Here's another one that I have thought of is title insurance. I don't know if that's something that you're familiar with in Australia or Germany, but basically, if you try to buy a house in America, you have to pay for title insurance to basically make sure that the person that's trying to sell you the house actually owns the house and doesn't have liens on the house and all that stuff. And it's not really a thing that people should have to do, as far as I understand it, because it's all basically like public record stuff. And these insurance companies are basically just good at searching through those records to confirm that it's fine. And a couple states have actually, I think, even gotten rid of it through laws and stuff. But it's a big industry and sort of a mandatory thing that everybody has to go through. But if you could put like the deeds or titles to houses on chain, why are you smirking?
I'm just thinking back to the the tax stuff I was talking about last week, and then I internally I wanted to yawn as you're talking about title insurance.
Well, that's true.
But no, it is interesting, but it's just funny that that's where my head was at.
The way to actually, because again, NFTs are just a empty vessel for showing ownership in a decentralized way, and so there's a lot of things, and this particular one, houses, is one where people are regularly, every time they go through, having to pay this other service to prove that the owner really owns it and doesn't have any outstanding liens against it. So that seems like a solution that you could easily do if we were storing the ownership on chain.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people have said, like, real estate and NFTs, and then cars and NFTs, and like any real big asset that you're trying to sell, it's a similar thing, right? Where you can just provably pass the ownership of that asset.
It's not really different from the art provenance situation, ultimately, except you're not like confirming that Toyota really built this car. You're confirming that, Fred really owns it or whatever and didn't steal it.